I think cubism is awesome. This 100-year-old art style popularised by George Braque and Pablo Picasso. I thought it'd be kind of fun to take this 100-year-old art style and apply it to my love of painting vehicles. As the cubist styles from back in the day weren't really used with vehicles, they were used by still life and portraits and stuff. So rather than painting like realistic like this cool Mustang that I did, I'll be painting like a cubist style with like this Corsa B. And I just love this whole kind of like perspective of taking an alternative reality viewpoint. This is part 16 of my journey. Let's get to it. So this part of the journey I thought it'd be cool to get some reference material from the Classic Max Power magazine. This is October year 2000. So which one I'll be working on is this cool saxo from the front cover. What about these magazines is they provide such cool angles, all sorts of different variation of shapes, sizes. It just really covers the whole car in one whole shot. So I'll be using lots of different views from these actual pages to actually get an overall cubist style for the painting. Look at that. Can't be an old classic saxo. So let's get started with this saxo drawing. I've just made a pre-sketch on this tan paper so far. So I've got the masking tape just lined out for a nice square off border. Just thought it looks a bit neater. And I've just done a quick practice just to make sure that everything works properly. Just so I've got perspective so I don't have to try and errors. But so far this is just oil pastels on this tan paper. I'm using this tan paper because I used the tan paper a lot last time, and not from previous ones, but from before that, and I always had good results with them. So this is like the front view that I've just drawn first now. Now looking at the magazine, I think I might do maybe this one next. There is so many to go from this, all these different pictures. Now I don't want to do, I'm just getting the rough lines of the actual shape. Those wing mirrors are really interesting, so I'm just going to do a shape of the wing mirror there. Maybe another front view here. I like the shape of this rim here. Those curves look really cool. When I'm using the masking tape, I don't try and push onto the masking tape, I try and push over it, or pull over it even. Because if I push into it, it might lift it up. Tyre tread picture, so I do some tyre tread here. Shape of the exhaust. I do a rear view here. Interesting build this saxo, so many crazy unique details on it. Let's do this gear stick next, I think. So I think that's a good starting sketch for the overall various different shapes that I've got there. I've got lots of different cool angles captured of this saxo. So now I've outdone the rough lines and the rough shapes of everything. Now it's just time to do the shadow areas and then highlight the highlight areas and stuff. So again with the oil pastels, I'm just going to start working on these geometric shapes into light and dark. And rather like the realistic pictures that I do, which have a one-point perspective, or like one area of darkness, one area of light and stuff like that, this is completely mixed matched through the whole page, so there's no like particular area of light coming from, there's no particular area of darkness where it's coming from, so it helps to kind of create a flattened kind of image. So where I'm deciding to actually put the more darker shadows, so if I think of this geometric shape here, I want this edge to be dark going up. Then this geometric shape, so this will be the highlighted area from this one. This will have a darkness opposite to the highlighted area of the one adjacent, so darkness going this way. That means that this area is going to be the lightest. So the ones next to it are going to be darker. So that'll. And this is a really good mind-bending kind of exercise, because one point you're trying to actually sculpt the actual shapes of the car to make the car recognizable for in your own head. So like, I know that this is the bumper, but then these overlapping shapes come in, so then it's like, do I want to highlight this shape of this bumper or the highlight of this shape of this bumper? And it kind of just mixes and matches, and with a bit of tweaks here and there, they both kind of end up being blended together, which is what I think gets the real cool effect of cubism. So I know this is like the grille of this front view, but then there's a grille here of this one, But then there's a shape here, so I don't kind of know what that shape's from, so I can't continue that black shape, so I'll do it there. Then this is a front view as well, and this will have a grille that comes across here. So I've got 1, 2, 3, got 3 different grills there. This was the exhaust. So you've got the grille to the exhaust there. Then you've got, this is a headlight, tail light, headlight, headlight, tail light, fog light, headlight. And although it can make it very kind of confusing and quite difficult to actually understand, I think it's quite fun in the process as well, because it's one of those things where you can't quite predict what it's actually going to look like, because it's just visually impossible. You can have some sort of vision in your head, but it's really just extends out of that. So I've got this big shape overlap into lots of areas. What I'll do is I'll just kind of break it up a little bit. So it'll be highlight here, so that edge will be darker, but it's dark here, so I'll highlight there. So that shape will come across here. I want this area to be darker. There's a lot of fiddling here and there and stuff, and you might actually add more things into it, and you might actually get rid of a few things here and there, but that's the overall process of it. It's just a lot of tweaking here and there and that to actually get the overall distorted effect that happens. One of the big challenges I kind of face when doing these kind of drawings is that they have a set of requirements to actually make the cubism painting, which is really good and everything, but at the same time I'm working on realistic commissions at the same also. So at the moment I've got 2 other projects on the go which are realistic commissions. They've got their own materials, their own set of rules to look as realistic as possible. So at the same time working with realistic as possible portraits of cars, I'm also working with these really weird cubisms which have the complete opposite. So you'll have 1 hour where you're working on one project which is completely realistic, and then the next you've got to kind of just delete everything, the rules from the actual painting, to create something completely different. It is quite a fun challenge. So the overall colour scheme of this vehicle is not going to be extremely variant. It's just going to be lots of these blues here, which I'm going to try and keep blues to maybe 1 or 2 different kind of blues. And later on I will start using my linseed oil, which helps to just really bleed everything together. The linseed oil can actually like delete some of these lines and make them a lot more blurry, so I'll have to go back in to actually create some of these lines. But hey ho. So we have the highlighted area on this shape, darkness, the light. There's a lot of white there, but this will just blend together with the blue. The bumper is silver, so I need some grey for that. This comes down here, so this will be blue. It's quite dark there, so I just want to emphasize this highlight. General premise of the entire actual painting is just highlighting all these different areas and just adding the appropriate shades. So if I add some silver shades, some blue shades and stuff like that. So I'll do a bit of progress in time lapse, and then we'll come back to it and see what needs tweaking, what I like about it so far and what I don't like about it and stuff. Because it is just the same tedious process, but it's still a fun challenge, so it'll be interesting to see how this turns out. This is the progress I've got so far. As you can see, I've been applying those various pastels onto actually the tan paper. Just getting those geometric shapes in, just using the same process I did before with this area. Just going with the black, the blue and the white. It's very simple. I think I'm only using 4 pastels, I think. So I'm just using these. I've just got a grey, white, a blue, there is a black somewhere as well. I think it's just disappeared of me. And yeah, the geometric shapes that I formed before, we're using the various views of the saxo. I'm now just adding them, and as you can see, there's different lights coming from different areas. So there's a light area from this side, there's a shadow coming from here, light this side, light this side, stuff. I mean, I've just got my cheap linseed oil that I've got. I've had this for years. If I got a multi-pack or something like that, it's just like really thin oil and stuff. And this oil just helps to smooth these out a little bit and help blend everything together. Again, that's a push on the masking tape. I try and go in the direction of the shape is. So, for instance, this grill here, I'll go straight across. I want this one to go down, this one to go down. It's got an interesting shape, especially around this area. That's really fascinating, because I know I've got the front view coming across here with the light and the grill. This one's the light here and the grill there. This one's like another headlight coming this direction, so it's like a repeat of this line. I noticed with the previous Cubist paintings and stuff like that, they did repeat a lot of lines that they did like and stuff, so this one's repeated here and there. This one is the side mirror of the gear stick. This is like the cool side bit of the front bumper and things. This I'm not quite sure what it is, but there is some parts of the painting which I can't really recognise and I can't really remember. I don't really recall when I actually did the painting in certain areas and stuff. But that's kind of the fun journey of it, even though I know that I can't recognise it. I'm not trying to actually work with the actual objects and stuff like that. I know everything, all the geometric shapes formed here is from the original like design and stuff, so even if I don't know myself, I know it's still from that actual design. So yeah, I'm just working with the raw shapes of the actual saxo itself, not actual the shape of the realistic view that we're used to normally seeing. And there is certain areas here which I haven't finished. I've done a little bit up here of the tail light and stuff like that, but this linseed oil might take a day or two to dry, so what I'll do is I'll work this area with linseed oil, and then once this dries after a day or two, while that's drying out, I'll work on that area. And then while this area is going to be again linseed oil, I can work back into this area that's dry, and then just touch up the blacks and the lights and the darks and stuff, because it requires a lot of fiddling, little tweaking here and there and stuff. The thing is with oil pastels, the ones I use anyway, they're very blunt, so there's a lot of chunky lines going on around here, so I'm just trying to use the linseed oil to smoothen out certain areas. So I'm just trying to get this one going across. Some areas will end up becoming a bit darker, some areas become a bit lighter as the pastels can actually blend together, but I'll just tweak it again to how I want it. And yeah, it requires a lot of fiddling here and there and that. I'm not trying to wash the brush or anything, I'm just going in as it is. I was contemplating to actually add a bit of yellow here for the bumper lights, which is seen in the picture and stuff. But I think that little touch of yellow here, I've got some up here, and that touch of red, it's not too overpowering, because with the other Cubist designs, the ones from the past and stuff, they used a very muted palette, and they understood that colour has its own depth and stuff like that. So I'm very scarce about what colours I use, and I try and keep it monochrome as possible, because I believe that the depth is perceived with multiple colours to counteract it. So I don't want to use too much yellow, because I know that'll counteract with the blue, but I think I've just got just the right amount there that's not going to make it too overpowering and stuff. So again, it'll just be the same process of what I did before. I'm just going to be applying linseed oil in this area, that's all I'm going to be doing, nothing too fancy. So this is the progress I've got so far. As you can see, I've applied oil pastels and the linseed oil over the whole area, smoothed out everything completely, and now it's quite dry as well. So now I'm just using a little bit of acrylic, white acrylic here, and just applying a few highlights on these edges to make them just a few more crisp. So just a little bit here. And I might go into the black oil pastel as well, just to emphasize some of those darker areas. But it's looking really good, I think. It's doing really well. It's a very interesting perspective on this saxo. It's been about a week since I've been working on this. I've had lots of personal commissions to actually sort out, and lots of other ideals and things, so I haven't had much of a chance to do this. I mean, it's just like a fun hobby, this, so I just do it when I can. feather it down into the oil pastel like that. The thing is about adding lots of white, it can desaturate it, but it's not much of a problem. I don't want it to be too saturated anyway. So yeah, just doing the finishing touches. Area down here looks really cool. This is a little confusing, but it still looks awesome. Like I said at the start of the video, I can't really predict how these ones are going to turn out, because yeah, it's just too much for the mind to comprehend. Because it's something brand new and something you've never seen before, so I can't yet quite visualise it. But that's the fun of it and exploring. I might double check a few things, but I'll remove the tape and then see how it looks after that. So this is the picture all finished. I really love how it's actually turned out. This is I think I'll definitely use the tan paper again. That worked really well. Definitely still love the oil pastels rather than the acrylic, so this is going really good. I love the bottom left corner. I think it looks really cool of how the sweeping lines of the bumper comes through. The middle section looks a bit different with these like square elongated lights and stuff like that. And I covered lots of different views here. I can see the rear view, lots of different views of the bumper, the fog lights. I can see like 3 or 4 pairs of headlights, the exhaust, side mirror, gear stick. So lots of different variation of views covered to actually give an overall view of the actual car itself. I just love the overall effect that this is given. I had not predicted any of this at all. It's completely crazy how these like cubist paints just create a whole new vision for an actual car itself. This one being a great Citroen Saxo V8 RS. Compared to my last one, I think this one definitely works out a lot better than my previous one. I enjoyed this one a lot more. There was a space between, like I had a week between the actual finishing the painting. That was just because of time and life and things. But I think I really did cover a lot more better geometric shapes. Maybe because it was a bit bigger and more space to work with. But I like this one better than the previous one. I think it looks really good. I didn't use too much colours, like contrasting colours. I mean, I did use the yellow, but that's for the fog lights and stuff. So yeah, it looks really cool. I think I'll definitely use the tan paper again for the next one. Probably give this probably 8 or 9 out of 10, which is really good. I really enjoyed doing this one.